Hey guys, welcome back to the Blue Podcast. Sorry I couldn't join you guys last week, but I'm sure Henry did a very good job.
Always do.
This week we've also got Isaac, who I would put kind of class you as a honorary. It's been a while since I've done a podcast. You are like an honorary. Oh my God, you're Jesus.
Start again. Go again.
No, I'll
Round
keep
two.
that in. You're like a half member of the podcast. I'll just do that. I don't know why my speakers.
I'll go for that.
How
Can't
are
say
you doing
honorary.
anyway, Isaac? Welcome to
Yeah,
the Blue Podcast.
not too bad. Having a good New Year so far, boys.
Yeah, it's been good. It's
Yeah,
been good.
yeah, not too bad.
Relaxing, which is nice. Obviously,
Yeah,
our
got-
master doesn't start for a while.
Yeah, got a lot of free time on my hands.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, I'm just trying to split working and trying not to do nothing is the plan, I think, because
Yeah,
that's very easy to do that. But obviously, this week's podcast, the Blue Podcast, is team of the season so far, Premier League, obviously, and what better teams to be picking from as a City, United, and Chelsea fans. I would say all of us probably not having the season we'd hoped so far.
No, definitely not.
Can't believe we had to debate that for a second.
I had to make it interesting. Come on. I mean, the thing is, right, with United, it's so depressing at the moment. The only thing that makes me happy is remembering that Chelsea are worse, and that kind of brings a little bit of joy into my life. But other than that, it's complete misery. So there you go.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to our defense, but we're just kind of falling apart a little bit there. But we're getting excited again. KDB back on the field the other day, so that's yeah, it's over for you guys, I think.
Yeah, I will say for Chelsea, although if we win today of recording, which is for the first leg of the semi-final of the Carabao Cup, we are 4-4. Yes, the caliber of competition probably hasn't been the best in those 4 games, but hey, it's a turning point, and Cole Palmer has been phenomenal for the season. And I've just noticed there's a dog in the background.
Oh yeah, there's
There is
another guest. That's Marley over there.
Oh,
might have to get up and let him out momentarily, but
nice.
we'll see what he wants to do.
All right, so basically the way we're going to do it is we're going to go through kind of each section of the pitch. Starting with the goalkeeper, then defenders, midfielders, and attackers. Obviously, we want you guys to let us know if you agree or disagree. I think there's going to be obviously lots of debating. Slabhead stats will be coming out at some point, and obviously, just make sure you let us know, because we're not always going to be right. As much as the Blue Podcast is the best football podcast in the world, you heard it here first. Just do let us know. So we obviously start with the keepers.
Yes.
And there's some debate, but I don't think that anyone's actually performed better than the person I picked, personally.
Yeah, I agree. I
Alisson.
hope we've got the same name. Yeah, that's
Alisson?
who I'm.
Yep.
Alisson.
Yeah, I think that's probably going to be the easiest position on the pitch.
Definitely. I mean, there are a couple names I considered alongside him in my list.
I did not go for Alisson.
Oh, you didn't?
Oh, I thought you said you did.
No.
Damn.
No, I thought we were all in agreement before we said the name. No, I went for Vicario.
I'm not going to lie, Vicario wasn't even in my list.
Really?
No. So
he's been transformative. Like, come on, replacing the France captain.
I think he's kept the level. It's been all right, but I don't think he's the reason that they are performing as well as they are.
He's helped massively.
Oh, yeah.
He's been massive for them, and for the price tag as well.
No
one else wanted him. They got him for dirt cheap. He's played really well for them. He was my second choice.
No, I mean, there were two. I thought Alisson was clear. I thought Alisson was very clear. And then the 2 options that I kind of went for as the backups would be Pickford, because he's the highest clean sheet keeper in the league, and he's doing that at Everton.
No, he's not.
There he is. He's got the most clean sheets in the league. I can tell you that right now. Unless it's changed in the last 24 hours.
Checking of the Premier League app stats this morning.
Equal with Onana and Pickford. With that justification, Onana should be your top keeper.
Yeah.
Well, I've watched Onana this season, and let's say that's not happening. Let's have a look. Pickford, 6 clean sheets. Yeah,
equal top.
Equal top, but top number of clean sheets this season. for Everton as well, who face a lot of shots as they are very poor, play with a 5 at the back for a reason. And the other option I considered was Bernd Leno at Fulham, also facing a lot of number of shots. Got a lot. I think it's 5 clean sheets he's kept, and he's also one of the top players in fantasy in terms of the goalkeepers keeping clean sheets and making lots of saves. So I thought the name stuck in my head.
He's also conceded a lot of goals for Fulham. Like Fulham used to be a much better defensively, and this season they've been leaking a lot.
No, but that is only in the last few games while he hasn't been playing, to be fair.
Exactly.
He's been injured. I do think I had him as my number 3. I had Alisson as my number 2, but I think just Vicario as a shot stopper, slight caveat, I thought he was like 22, 23. He is 27, so he is like he's more experienced than I thought he was. But as a shot stopper who can then quickly distribute it, it's exactly what Tottenham needs, and he has like transformed. He is arguably a better shot stopper than Lloris was. He's not as much of he's not got the area command like Lloris did, and then as a distributor, miles and miles ahead of him. So yeah.
So I think,
but I'm happy to concede Alisson though.
Yeah, I was going to say, on terms of votes, it'd be a 2-1 Alisson to Vicario.
Yeah, it was close.
Yeah, it wasn't. It's not far off. I think Alisson probably has pipped it in the last few weeks. Liverpool have kind of stepped up a bit, and Spurs, obviously, ever since they faced us, went really downhill, which was great.
Exactly. I think that makes a difference for sure.
It does make a big difference. So yeah, all right. The first Blue Podcast player in the team of the season so far is Alisson Becker. All right, so I think what we're going to do is, everyone says they're back 4, and then
we'll discuss.
We'll discuss from there. All right. So, Isaac.
Okay. So I've gone for Trent at right back, Saliba right centre back, Van der Ven left centre back, and Estupiñán at left back.
Oh, okay. Right. Well, I'll go next then. I agree with Trent, but I have picked Virgil van Dijk as one of the centre backs and Christian Romero as the other centre back. And then my left back is Anthony Robinson from Fulham.
Okay.
All right. So mine's similar-ish to both of yours. There's a player from each, I think. Yeah, Trent right back. I think that's pretty standard. I've gone for Saliba and Van Dijk at centre backs. And then I've gone Mikalenko at left back.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, so unfortunately, 2 Liverpool players in our team of the season so far locked in, which I think for all of us isn't the nicest feeling in the world.
It's a bit rough.
But we can recover it in the centre back positions, at least one of them.
Yeah, hopefully.
So, Isaac, who did you have in your 2 centre backs again?
I had Saliba and Van der Ven. Yeah, unfortunately, it does mean maybe locking in an Arsenal player, which I'm sure all of us don't want to do either. But
and Henry, you had Van Dijk and...
Yeah, I mean, we'll go into the stats in a minute. Van Dijk was by far the best centre-back in the league so far this season, based on everything that I've seen. The second best that I decided to go for was Romero, just because I thought a top player deserves to be in this defence, given how well they performed. And his stats weren't anywhere near as good, if I'm honest. And I don't think the other options I kind of considered just whilst we're talking about it is Ethan Pinnock at Brentford as a kind of rogue shout. Yeah. Anderson at Crystal Palace has drawn a lot of attention. Saliba and also Ruben Diaz, because a City player needs to be in there as well.
Ruben Diaz, yeah, he's played right.
Yeah. I had Anderson as one of my backups, and I considered Pinnock, but I think just given how Brentford have fallen apart the last few weeks, I don't think that could be on the cards anymore. But I think Saliba has performed. I would say the same about Saliba as you have about Van Dijk. I think he has been seeing how he pocketed Haaland, bodied Haaland, his pace, his physicality, his tackling. I am into stats. I don't think that stats for defenders paints the best picture. It's just watching the way that they command the box, the way they command the ball, the way they push players off the ball. Just can't really be imagined. Saliba's one of those players. He just fits in. I don't think he can't be on this team.
Yeah, yeah. I will say, in terms of votes currently, it is a Van Dijk Saliba centre back partnership. So far, I'm 4 and 4.
Can I make my case for Van der Ven?
You can make a case for Van der Ven.
So obviously been out injured, but so he went out half time in the Chelsea match, fell apart, wheels fell off the bus the second he left the field. Like literally, obviously going down to 9 men is going to make any team kind of fall out of what they're doing. But I just think he was so important, and not just defensively. Look at how bad their build-up play has been, how low their creativity, obviously losing Maddison, having players out injured, the turbulence of the team so far, but playing with Emerson and can't even remember his name. Davies. Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
Playing with those two, even though they are ball playing centre backs, have just not been able to do nearly as much as Van de Ven did. So that's my call. But I understand. I did have Van Dijk as my third choice. So yeah,
I think a Tottenham player probably deserves to make it into this, given how good they were and up until those injuries. That Chelsea game ruined their season.
Yeah,
I mean, I went with Romero. I thought he was a bit more solid, and of course, he's played more minutes because he's been injured less. But I mean, Van de Ven again did a great season so far. I mean, if you wanted to drop Saliba to put Van de Ven in, I'd back you on that. I'll drop Romero for Van de Ven.
I don't think I can drop Saliba now.
No, I think Saliba's been the best centre back in the league this season.
Yeah,
I mean Van Dijk. I mean, I'll read out the kind of numbers. 90% pass accuracy. He's getting 5 accurate long balls at every 90 minutes. 6.5 duels won every game, 4.5 aerial duels won every game, and 1.5 interceptions every game. That's per 90. Like every single game, he's getting like 10 defensive actions in there at least, and it's just phenomenal. You don't see a centre back be that dominant, and with that high pass accuracy as well. I know centre backs are usually quite high, but high pass accuracy as well, getting out, starting attacks. He's just so dominant, and it says something as to. It adds up because you see a performance and you see it, kind of see it individually. When it adds up to being consistent over a 13, 15 game run of games, and you'll manage to being consistent with 10 defensive actions every single game, and also completing 5 accurate long balls a game. Like, that's successful. That's successful long balls every single game.
He's definitely covered for the fact that Liverpool don't have an elite number 6 in their team.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like, they wouldn't be able to be, I mean, top of the table currently. I don't think that's going to last much longer, but having Robertson out, him and Trent he has had to do so much. Oh yeah, Trent.
I will say though, on their 6 issue, if you look at actually the percentage of wins and like comfortable wins when they've got Endo in the team and when they don't, it is really obvious that actually Endo makes such a difference to their team.
Oh, he's been class as well.
Yeah,
agreed. But I mean, you've got Trent kind of stepping into that role as well, and we didn't really mention him because we all kind of were like, yeah, no, his form this season has deserved of this. He's having 1.7 shots every game, which is the most for defenders, but that makes sense because he's playing further forward. 6 accurate long balls every game, which is higher than Van Dijk, and is the most in the league. 2.5 chances created, 3 chances created every game, 2 accurate crosses, 1 accurate dribble. So he's not only being that distributor from deep alongside Van Dijk, they're both kind of taking control of those long balls. He's also creating 3 chances and getting 2 crosses in as well. So he's playing as a wing back and as a 6, and being their kind of attacking outlet from the back, which is
as a cam. Like every single time he gets the ball just outside of the box, I'm like, yeah, that's going in. It just wallops them. They just go so. The United game, like literally, he could have had a hat trick at that game. Like he was just. Yeah,
he didn't. So
very lucky. He didn't. Very lucky.
I mean, our defensive form that game was incredible. I mean, let's not get into that. But
Nana as well.
Yeah, he seems to have picked up a little bit defensively as well because he's also making 7.8 recoveries every game. And when Liverpool are pressing him and he's able to keep the ball, that ball retention ability, like it's mad. I mean, it's the kind of thing you praised. Tottenham used to praise. What's his name? Not their kind of English midfielder that they thought was great and then ended up being average. Winks. Everyone was like, oh, but he recovers the ball. He just keeps the ball, keeps cycling it when they're outside the box. I'm like, yeah, Trent does that. And he's their best chance creator. And he's their best long ball specialist. So, it's a set of skill. It's incredible. I mean, he's clearly a CDM playing right back, but he stepped up with the defensive as well. So that's good.
Yeah. Let's move from one fullback to another.
Yep.
This is going to be, I think, a bit more of a debate Because
I don't think it is, personally.
really,
I'll go through it. I mean, first of all, Estupiñán has only played half a season.
yeah,
And when he's
But
played, he's been good, but it's
and
half a
every time
season.
he hasn't, and that was this is kind of my issue. Is like I was trying to find with Robertson out, there is not really any elite left backs in the league. Like City don't have any. Like City have Vardiol, who is a fantastic centre back. I don't think he is our long-term solution at left back. But yeah, there just wasn't that many great picks to choose from. And when Estupiñán has played, he has been fantastic. And when other than the Villa game, which yeah, he had a bit of a stinker in that one, but every other game that he's played, they have won. I'm fairly sure. I was looking through the stats yesterday.
he's played very well. Yeah,
And when he
Definitely.
hasn't played, they've really, really struggled.
Yeah.
And spoilers for later, but it balances out because I think that the right side of Brighton's defense is incredibly weak. And I think he has a lot of responsibility to carry on his shoulders, and he is the player that steps up and does that.
He's
I
also
think
one of their main attacking outlets as well.
Yeah, I think him and Dunk are fantastic, and I think they
Yeah,
need
Dunk's been
work
good.
on,
Dunk
and they
probably,
need work on the other side.
I think Dunk probably should have had actually a bit of a shout out in that centre back role. He's been very good this season.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, he didn't stand out in the statistics, and that's why I didn't end up going for him in the end. But yeah, he is phenomenal, and I think he'll probably at this rate end up on the plane going to Germany next year. But this year, sorry, 2024 now. It's mad. He probably has earned his place on that plane now as a backup centre back. But I like your shout more, Tom. Mikalenko has done a lot more, and he's done it for the entirety of the season. Don't get me wrong. I'm a big Estupiñán fan. He's in my fantasy team when he's fit, but unfortunately, he's not played that much. He's been injured for the majority of this first half of the season, and even though he's played well the rest of the time, he's not played enough games for me to deserve a spot in this list.
Yeah.
What was your second pick?
Other than Mikalenko, the other player I considered was Udoge. Again,
Udoge's my second.
Yeah,
as well.
but he's also again someone that's been,
Injured.
playing with suspension and injuries.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I didn't end up going for him, but he was in my list as well.
I think with Mikalenko, and you look at, if you watch an Everton game, in terms of defensively and offensively, he is so. If he's having a good game, they play very well. Like he's so important to them. He covers McNeil on the left as well, and when McNeil feels comfortable to be able to not having to come back and defend all the time, he can then go be creative, and it actually just completely changes the dynamic of their team. And I mean, we talked about how Pickford has the joint most clean sheets this season. I don't know which teams have the most. Arsenal have 7, Liverpool have 7, Newcastle have 7, Everton have 6. Everton, like, are 1 clean sheet behind some of the best teams in the league, the top 2 teams in the league. And he's part of that defence, and we're not even talking about anyone else in that defence. It doesn't seem particularly fair.
Well, I actually disagree with that, just because looking at Branthwaite's performances, particularly for Everton,
yeah,
he has really picked up. And it was funny because in one of the classes that I take with UCFB, it's a transfer-based one, and there's statistics to make transferring decisions. And we were tasked with coming up with a player to sign for a club, and we decided to look for Man United for a centre-back. And the name I picked out, looking at the underlying numbers when he'd played, was Branthwaite. And then suddenly, he's starting for Everton. He's playing really well. He's one of their key defenders. And he's on that left side as well. He's that left-footed centre-back. So he's covering for Mikalenko as well. So the player Robinson isn't getting anything because the centre backs at Fulham have been average at best, and we'll talk about that a bit later.
Probably
on.
In the second half of this.
Exactly. I just think Robinson has been consistent. Maybe not as good attacking wise, but he's not scored the goals that Mikalenko has, but he's got 3 assists, and Mikalenko hasn't got any. It just seems to be that little bit more clean, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't know. This is a tough one.
It was linked with City, to be fair.
I think
Robinson was linked with City.
I see why.
He's been good for a few seasons now.
He has. He's as I say, consistent. He's also very defensive minded, and a lot of his stats point towards his great defensive qualities rather than He's necessarily his attacking qualities, and that fits City's philosophy a lot better, playing as like a left-sided centre back covering that left channel. He does get 2.4 long balls and 1 dribble a game, but he has won 6.1 duels a game, makes 2.8 interceptions, which is the most for a fullback, and then 6.3 recoveries a game as well.
Yeah, I haven't watched enough Fulham or Everton games. I think the only Everton game I've seen this season was Everton City. And Mikolenko, I mean, it's City, but he did struggle. But given one of the only performances I've seen of Robinson was against England in the World Cup, and he was immense. He was by far America's best player in that game, bodied whoever it was on that side. But
Saka.
Yeah, it was Saka. I out of the two, I'd go for Robinson.
Okay, well that's it then. That's our left back. Do you want to get the team up?
Yes, we'll pop them in, and we'll also pop in Van Dijk. So that was agreed. Are we?
Oh, yeah,
am I outvoted on Saliba as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a shame. I can't spell it. There we go. Because didn't you see on Instagram, Robinson was put in like the team of the year by Who Scored, and then he was like, "What the hell?" And they put like a picture of like a clown in a list of like group of soldiers. It was really funny. But yeah, he was like, "What the hell? Why am I in this list?" But there's actually good reason for him to be in there, and let's say happy to get his name mentioned.
All right. So with the midfielders, we agreed 2 holding and 1 10.
Or
We
hybrid.
can we'll change it depending. We'll change it depending.
Yeah, I mean, let me kind of put this there now. What I did was I looked for the best CDMs. 1 centre mid who was a little bit more box to box, but again played deep, and then 1 10, 1 out and out 10.
Yeah, I've done the same thing.
Cool. Do you want to start with? Do you want to say all 3?
I'll happily start. I've gone for Douglas Luiz. I was going to go McGinn, but I think I needed a more of a 6. Pascal Gross. I think he's been absolutely phenomenal this season.
Agreed.
And then I went with my boy Cole Palmer in the 10.
Oh, okay, right. Go on, Isaac. After you.
So I've gone with Rodri. I think.
Yeah.
It has to be him. Like City in the 3 games that we played without him when he was suspended. We coped in the Arsenal game, but the other 2, it was just such a slog. Like I cannot even imagine what Spurs fans have been feeling for the past 5 years, because it felt like watching Spurs. Like it was just Spurs, but without Kane and Son. Like if it was just Bergwijn and like just running his thing, it was so bad. And the second he came back, we just had that control, the pauser, the grip on the game. Defensively, offensively, he chips in with a goal every now and again. And it's always when we need him to the most, like Champions League final. Come on. I don't think he can't be in this team. Sorry, I'm going for the justification. I know we'll do that later, but I just have to wax. I have to wax lyrical about Rodri because he's so good. Douglas Luiz, I agree with. It was between him and because they play kind of a similar role. It was between him and Rice for me. And then for my 10, I feel like we might all do this. I don't know about Henry. I don't know if you can justify it, but I'm going to go with Foden. I've got to.
No.
I've got to.
Right.
You've got to rep and you've got to go Bruno Fernandes here, but yeah, it's got to be Foden.
I haven't got Bruno Fernandes, but there's no way Foden's getting you near my team personally. I will get into this.
Yeah, he's been amazing this season.
I consider him to be the bald fraud. Everyone thinks he's amazing. I don't think he's any good, to be honest. I think he's talented. Either. He could be, but I don't think he's hit the levels that people say he is. But we'll get into that.
Sorry, what?
In editing, can we please pull up the clip from the first match against Burnley, the spin and like the flick that he did to score that goal? Because that is genuinely, it's not going to get mentioned in it, but that's goal of the season for me.
And then also in a recent game, he literally banged it from about 40 yards out as well.
He just keeps twatting him recently.
Yeah,
it's so good. He's just discovered that he's got a long shot in him.
Right.
Anyway, go on. Henry, give us your 3. Go on.
Yeah, I mean, Alejandro Garnacho is goal of the season. Just going to put that out there because there's no denying it. It's the best goal I've ever seen. My midfield three, I've gone with Douglas Luiz not as the 6, but as the 8/box-to-box player because he does score goals and that's a big part of his game. I considered Gross in that list as well, by the way, so that's why he's not in my team. But again, deserves a mention. In the CDM, I considered Rodri. I considered Declan Rice.
If you say Casemiro, I'll slap you.
I've not because Casemiro hasn't
Okay,
played.
good. Like I'm saying, I was worried about where this was going. I was worried where this was going.
The person I went for was actually Yves Bissouma at Tottenham. I think he's played a similar level to Rodri and Rice this season, and I think he had to make a big step up to get to that point. You see how average he was at Tottenham the last few years, and how good he was at Brighton before that, and he's back up to that level. And you see his performances the first few games of the season, especially just man of the match after man of the match after man of the match, just carrying that Tottenham midfield. This new Tottenham midfield under a new manager. Everyone thought they were going to flop, and he's picked it up and done incredibly. And we'll go through the stats in a minute. But my final midfielder, I went for a 10. Didn't put Cole. I should have actually put Cole Palmer in my list. I didn't. I don't know why. I forgot about him. James Maddison, best 10 in the league this season.
Hasn't played enough.
He hasn't missed as many games.
No, if Estupiñán's not getting in, then he's not getting in.
Yeah. No, he was my second choice. Maddison was. I actually forgot that Odegaard existed, but
we'll have this season, don't we?
I mean, he's been. I heard an Arsenal fan claim that he was the best player in the world currently. I was like, okay, that's maybe a bit strong.
Jesus.
But yeah, no, I think Maddison. I just don't think he's played enough. Like he was the Premier League Player of the season for the first 3 or 4 weeks. But yeah, I think
he's missed some games. I don't think he's missed as many games.
He's missed most of their games. He hasn't played for a long time.
He hasn't played since the Chelsea game.
Yeah,
and they haven't played the same since.
Yeah,
they need him back if they're going to get anything out of the next 2 months.
Lo Celso, who if you check out the Purple Show that will have come out the Friday before this comes out, he might be getting a mention.
He will be getting a mention. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the underrated player of the season has to be.
He's been playing very well, and he's had to as well. He was
also incredible, but then he just stopped. He just stopped playing for something. As soon as he joined Tottenham, his ability just dropped off, and I was like, that's a bit odd. But no, he is an incredible player.
All right. Well, let's get debating then, guys. Obviously, only debating 2 of Henry's, and we'll be debating 3 of mine and 3 of Isaac's. So,
let's first
Douglas Luiz. Douglas Luiz has been shouted out twice.
3 times. Everyone said Douglas Luiz.
Oh, did we?
No, he didn't. So. No, he didn't. He said he was his second choice.
Did you?
No, Douglas Luiz is my first.
And mine.
He was?
Yeah. So Douglas Luiz goes straight in.
Luiz goes straight in.
I thought I was going to have to fight for that one. I thought you two were going to say Rodri. Not Rodri, Rice.
No,
I didn't really consider them.
For me, it's been amazing this season. And I think I feel really hard done by not to put McGinn in because he's also been really, really good.
For me, it was one or the other, and I went with Douglas Luiz. I think he's a bit more complete.
Yeah,
for me.
Yeah, and also when you watch him play as well, he does all like he'll win the fouls when you're under pressure. He does all the dirty work as well. Not saying that John McGinn doesn't do that, and John McGinn's probably got a better engine. But I don't know. When I watch Douglas Luiz play, I'm like, wow.
Other players can do what John McGinn does for Aston Villa, but I don't think anyone else does what Douglas Luiz does for Aston Villa. I saw a shout that was saying that like Douglas Luiz was a better player than Rice, and everyone was clowning him in the comments. But honestly, like I think he has been very, very close.
Yeah,
I
completely agree.
I was really rooting for him a few years ago because he was a City Academy graduate, but he could just never get a work permit here.
Yeah,
and obviously because Villa's wages were lower, he went as their top earner. And instantly, like I think we maybe had a 30 mil buyback clause. I do not know why we didn't activate that because he would have been the perfect Gundogan replacement this summer.
Oh yeah, 100%. That ability to be he's so sound defensively, but gets that he seems to be controlling that Aston Villa midfield. And we've got to consider Aston Villa players because they are title challengers. As of right now, they are title challengers. No one can deny that. And
he is the reason why.
He is the main reason why. I mean, there's another player we're going to talk about a bit later on who is also a big part of that. But
he doesn't get into my team.
We'll talk about that later. Douglas Luiz, I think one player needs to go in. If there's going to be one player, it's going to be Douglas Luiz. That he seems to be their main leader in that midfield as well. Again, I'll go through the stats quickly. I mean, 85% pass accuracy, making 3.4 long balls a game, which is the top for central midfielders, creating 1.4 chances a game, 0.8 crosses, winning 56% of his duels, 0.8 shots per game, 0.3 goals per 90. So he's getting a goal every 3 games or so, which is the top for midfielders as well. I know he does take penalties, which will factor into that, but to be their solid defensive player, and as well as their kind of chief creator with that pass accuracy and that goal involvement as well, key for me.
So now we will be talking about Gross, Rodri, and who do you go for, Henry? Bissouma. Is there anyone that has any serious issues with any of those picks?
Gross, I put in my list as Douglas Luiz potential, put in the centre mid, the box to box, because he's not just a defensive midfielder. He is a box. He's played every role, let's be honest, but he's also played attacking roles, both at fullback and at centre mid. So I think he's too complete to be considered a CDM, in my opinion.
But and so you'd say Douglas Luiz doesn't really hold.
But he's also one of the top goal scorers as a midfielder. But
that's because of the penalties, though. But
he's also one of their chief chance creators as well. He's not. I think
Kamara's maybe their more important holding midfielder.
Yeah,
he is much more of a box to box. I would say for balance, you need a true 6 in there, and I just don't think that Pascal Gross is that true 6. That
he could probably do really well as a true 6, but I just think he can do so much else on top of that.
That's what makes me feel like he's so hard done by to not make it into a team of the season so far, because he's done everything. He's played fullback both sides. He's played as an attacking midfielder. He's playing as like a defensive midfielder. Like those type of players who are amazing, but play lots of positions.
I think also having to make up for the loss of Caicedo is quite important. But he's filled that in more of a.
He's probably my underrated player of the season. I just don't think he makes it into this team just because there are better players in each position for me. Like he's amazing at all of them, but like there's players that are individually better in that position.
City are currently 3rd in the table. We have not played very well this year. We would be 7th without Rodri. That run of games without him that we had, like we just fell off. If we kept Gundogan, it might have been all right, but yeah. Kovacic and Phillips are not Rodri replacements. But how integral he is.
Kovacic isn't a 6, he's an 8. Anyway.
No, I know. But given how integral he is to City's play style and how we have performed since he came back, I think he's a shoe-in, obviously.
I will say if we're not going for Gross, I'd back Rodri, personally.
I mean, I know why you would, and he has been one of the top midfielders in the league this season. I do agree. His stats are incredible.
His stats are ridiculous.
I just think he missed a few games which kind of cost City a lot of points, and it was a kind of reckless sending off.
That was his fault. It was a suspension, and it was
exactly that's on him, and that will hurt you guys.
He's lost his model footballer. I mean, I think I saw like by that match he'd already had more fouls and yellow cards than he had the entirety of last season. And this was only like game week like 6 or 7. Like he.
But I also say though, if this shouldn't really be a debate between Bissouma and Rodri in terms of hot-headedness, because Bissouma is also extremely hot-headed.
I will give Bissouma his flowers. I think he has been fantastic this year. I don't entirely agree that his ability dropped off last year when he arrived at Tottenham. I am baffled by the fact that Conte didn't use him, because he is a perfect Conte player. He has an engine. He runs. If Sissoko was 5 years younger and didn't leave Spurs, him and Bissouma would have been the perfect pairing for Conte. I have no idea why he stuck with tombstones in midfield and didn't play.
Yeah, I mean,
Bissouma.
We'll talk about some tombstones in the top midfield a bit later on. But Bissouma, for me, like as you said, 71 passes per game with a 91% accuracy, which is the top for DMs. 66% long ball accuracy, 1.7 dribbles a game, 72% accuracy, 2.3 tackles a game, 76 ground duels, 1 per game, and then 1.4 interceptions a game. Doing that defensive work, but then bringing it out of defense as well and being accurate with that. is key for me. The Rodri's stats are probably equal, maybe a little bit more. I just think Rodri was doing this last season, and now he's doing it again, and it's kind of the same. I thought Basuma's
You can't be
step
punished
up.
for that though.
I don't think
You
it's
can't be
punishment,
punished
but
for
I
being
You
the
can't.
best
You
in
know
the world.
that logic should not be how it works.
But the fact that Basuma has had to fight his way back into the team and then got
Yeah.
back up to that level is that
And
extra.
that's why
It
he
started
deserves
from
an
further
honourable
back.
mention.
I mean, you guys have the vote, so you'll vote me wrong here, but I just think Rodri.
But you're
I
also,
would-
you're
I would
also
have
one of
a
the
little
most
bit
biased
biased
United
that
fans I've ever met. So
Oh yeah, I am biased against Rodri a lot. I mean,
yeah.
but
So yeah. Anyway,
yeah,
Douglas
our votes.
Luiz and Rodri in the holding. Don't want to keep on bogging down too much from too many positions. And then last but not least, in the 10, I think we could go on about the stats with both of them.
It's
Palmer's
not.
had, Palmer's had
It's
more
not a
goal
stats game.
contributions.
Yeah.
I mean, when it comes to attackers,
and
it's where it is. But
they both are extremely similar. Weird that they've both come from the Man City academy. Henry,
hmm,
who are you picking? Cole Palmer or Phil Foden?
I mean, Madison personally, but I
Well,
mean,
that
I also
doesn't
think we also need to give some shout outs to a couple other players. Bernardo
He's
Silva.
trying to delay it. He doesn't want to do it.
No, I don't want to do it at all. I mean, Bernardo Silva, for me, deserves a mention. Stepping up in that kind of Kevin De Bruyne role whilst he's been injured has been key.
It's not been that good though.
I think he's been
Offensively.
pretty good.
I will. I don't want to do this, but I will talk down on Bernardo Silva because he isn't filling. He is filling the Gundogan role more than he's filling the Kevin De Bruyne role, because so many times I see a long ball, a direct pass that he can make, a through ball, something to get to one of our wingers or through to Haaland. And every single time he'll pick that easy pass. He plays the tiki-taka style, which is fantastic for Pep, but sometimes you can only do that when you have someone as direct as Kevin De Bruyne playing next to you. When he is replacing him as his key creative output, it just does not work as well. He's beautiful footballer, and Foden and Bernardo are in the same boat of the stats don't tell you. You have to watch them. They pass the eye test. But Foden, he can play in spaces. He can play tight. He can play out wide. He's got the pace to burst through players. He will find pockets of space that literally I'm like, how did you get there? How did you move the ball in that way and open up that much room? And yeah, he's recently discovered that he's got an absolutely booming power shot on him. But yeah, I genuinely think within 3 or 4 seasons, Phil Foden is going to win the Ballon d'Or. If he keeps up the consistency, if he doesn't get appendicitis like he did last year, he will. Like, he fell off the radar, and I heard people saying, "Oh, he's gone under the radar. He's kind of fallen off the Man City team." He had appendicitis, and then obviously Pep sticks with what is working at that time, and he just didn't make his way back into the fold. But he is so good, and I want him at 10, even though he's only played there for 4 or 5 games this season, because every single time he has, it has been a 10 out of 10. Every time he plays at 10, I don't know why we don't do it more. He has been perfect, like literally not put a single foot wrong. So that's my case for Foden. But
I mean, I could say exactly the same thing about Cole Palmer for us, though.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. I don't know if it's bias or something, but I'm definitely going Cole Palmer, like for sure. He has stepped up as well, because he was like sat on the Man City bench, and he's just as good as Foden is. He is just as good, and you just let him go. And like, I don't know why you didn't give him minutes, because as I say, he's just as good as Foden, and yet Foden gets that kind of golden boy treatment. I don't think he's earned it.
He is just a bit, and we wanted to keep him, but unfortunately, he just was not quite as a City player, and that's why he works at Chelsea, because Chelsea all of them are underbaked. Every single person in the Chelsea team is underbaked. They are not the finished product yet. Whereas to get into the City team, you kind of have to be the finished product or offer something really different and really interesting that changes the dynamic, which is how Rico Lewis has come into the team. It's how Foden came into the team in the first place, because he just has that je ne sais quoi, that slightly something that no one else can offer. And I think there is 30 other players in Europe that can do what Cole Palmer does, but no one can do what Phil Foden does, apart from maybe James Maddison. But I was gutted to lose him. I did not want to lose him. He's a bit too individualistic for City's liking. He doesn't quite see the other players in the team. He doesn't quite link up as well. Sometimes it's worked and he's definitely like finding his foot more, but I think also his stats are elevated by the fact that everyone else at Chelsea has been dog this year. Like
Yeah, but
he
then,
has
but
been
if
your
anything,
primary
but
output.
then if anything, that's why the assists haven't been as good as they, because the amount of opportunities he's given to fucking Nicholas Jackson, and he's not put it away, or Sterling who's not put it away, his stats should be even more elevated if he was in a good team.
Yeah,
agree.
I do
That's
feel
what's
that,
phenomenal.
but I think why he left City was that too many times, and it's what my issue with Mahrez was a lot, and we beat that out of him finally before he left. But it's that holding on to the ball for a second too long and looking for a shot when he should get a pass in, and that worked for us in the Super Cup because we had no one wanted to finish in that game, and he got that goal. It worked against Arsenal. He was the one person who was trying. He wanted to impress. He wants to show off because he wanted to get that move. He was pushing for that move, and he was like, "I need to get a goal here." And honestly, those two goals, which were very relatively inconsequential, we lost the Community Shield. They were his two best moments in a City shirt. They honestly, I think they raised his sale price by 20 million.
Yeah.
2 goals, and
Yeah, I mean,
but
it's
I
what
can't
Tom
deny he's
says.
been fantastic this year. If you want to go for him, he's a City. He's a City product. I'm happy that he's doing really well. I just wish it was in a City shirt, honestly.
Palmer is very good, and he's since everyone started hyping him up, he's been very good since then. And it's like my thing with Foden is he's been since David Silva left. Everyone was like, "Oh, but Foden's going to step into that role," and he's played more and more gradually over the time since that moment. And I'm just like, at what point was he the best? And he's not the best. He still isn't to this day. He's talented and he's getting better every season, but he's never been the level that people said he is.
Phil
End of
Foden.
story there for me. Phil Foden, yeah, for me. He's never been as good. People always think he's Ballon d'Or contention. You said it yourself. Nowhere near, mate. Nowhere near. And unless he steps up and becomes top assister in the league this season and the best creator in the league this season,
He's
not going to
23,
happen.
mate.
I say he could still make it, but right now
Okay.
he's not as good as people says he is.
You said he has never been as good as people say he is. He has been consistently underrated because he came in before he was in the England squad, before all of this, lockdown Phil Foden. Genuinely, he was player of the season for that lockdown period. Watch the match against Liverpool. I mean, maybe don't watch a City Liverpool match. That probably sounds like your worst nightmare.
It is,
but
yeah.
Phil Foden in that match, and I know we're talking 2 seasons ago, but that match, genuinely, I was like, this is this different gravy. That's what all commentators listen to. Any football pundit, they will tell you Phil Foden is different gravy. You cannot deny that he is not a fantastic footballer, and he just does things that no one else does. He is so unique as a player.
Yeah, I also think we need to stop thinking that Phil Foden is a winger. He hasn't got the pace to be a winger. He's a 10.
Oh no, he's a 10.
Yeah,
I think
for sure.
He has served very well as a winger. He has served us very, very well. I mean, City don't use traditional wingers anyway.
No, of course. But
other than Doku, and we'll get onto that later. But yeah, I'll accept Palmer, but I do think we have to give
Palmer.
Foden his flowers.
Yeah, fair enough. He has been good this season. I'll give you that. He's not as good as people say he is, but he is good this season. Palmer's been better. And again, what Tom said a minute ago, Palmer is doing it around players who can't finish. And it's the same reason why I considered Bruno as my third player. He's if Man United had players who can finish goals and Scott McTominay didn't keep getting in the fucking way, he would be the top assister, be breaking assist records, but he's not because the players around him are awful at finishing. And it's the same with Palmer, and Palmer's doing better than Bruno.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I'll agree with you, Tom. I'll take your side. Palmer into the team.
Yeah.
Did that for you guys? All the Chelsea fans did that for you.
Yeah. You get one player in. Well done. I'm proud of you.
Yep.
No, Foden was that guy a couple of seasons ago before we got Haaland. He was our most consistent finisher. He was our goal scorer, and Palmer is doing that for Chelsea now. Just that one player, and you look at every single team that we have sold players to, because we've just started doing it a lot more recently. Everyone, you look at the training sessions, you look at everything. There's an Arsenal training session from literally, I think it's maybe the week after Jesus and Zinchenko joined, and they're doing it's like a beep test, but you're like running and you're jogging the ball as you go. And literally, they finished this probably twice as fast as the next best player. This is Zinchenko we're talking about. Like, Zinchenko was, at the time he left, I mean, very, very loved by City fans, but he was not considered to be even in our top 15 best players. And his technical ability, due to his time training at City, is just that far above Arsenal, who came second in the league last year.
Yeah,
like, I don't know what they're
Bottled it.
feeding the kids at the Etihad campus, but fucking hell.
Perfect.
They produce some ballers.
They do produce. And
Like, every team that has a City player, ex-City player, I mean, apart from Chelsea with Sterling, I mean, with Palmer, they've redeemed themselves, but they are the best player at that team. Unfortunately,
Palmer isn't necessarily our best player in our team. Conor Gallagher, I would say, is, and I just realised why I didn't put him in the conversation for Douglas Luiz's position, but I didn't, and I now have serious regrets. I should have been fighting his corner from the get-go. Can we go back?
He wasn't in my list because I put James Ward-Prowse in there.
No. Thing is, his stats in Europe are nuts for Conor Gallagher.
Yeah, no, I should have given Conor Gallagher a bit more time.
I can't believe we actually just completely forgot about him.
It is what it is, and Douglas Luiz gets in anyway, so it's fine. But let's move on quickly before he has an aneurysm, and talk about some wingers.
Let's talk about some forwards. I'm sorry, anyone else in Chelsea fan that watched this and I didn't put him in. Oh my god!
Disgrace, getting kicked out of fan base.
All right, so let's move on to the forwards. We'll give our three. I think it's Isaac's turn to start. Give us your front three.
Okay, so I am going left wing. I'm going Jeremy Doku. Up front, I'm going Dominic Solanke, and right wing, I am going for Mohamed Salah.
Okay, cool. So right wing is Mohamed Salah.
Yeah.
Left wing is Doku. And up front, I went with Ollie Watkins.
Okay, I went right wing Mohamed Salah, striker Erling Haaland, just on the goals, and left wing Son.
Okay, that's a fair shout. My options for left wing were Son, and I also threw Mohamed Kudus in there just because I couldn't consider. There was no other left wingers. Like Son plays striker this season, and Kudus plays right wing. Yeah, he is, and Son's a striker, but there were not very many good options.
Son's played left wing this season, though.
A little.
He hasn't played, in my opinion, very well when he's been at left wing. He's definitely been better
at striker, yeah, for sure.
I really wanted to put Dominic Solanke in, the anime celebrating man.
Yeah,
but I mean, it's right. First of all, let's just put it out there. Mohamed Salah gets into this team straight away again with his 14 goals and 8 assists this season. Very easy to put him in. He's been their main guy this season. Erling Haaland has missed some games. He's still top goal scorer, which is frustrating.
That's what I mean, though. Even though he's missed games, though, he's still top goal scorer.
And it's for Man City where he gets premier chances. If you look at Solanke and Watkins, who I went for in the end, they're both playing for subpar teams. Aston Villa's
subpar.
Well, Aston Villa are a bit better, and that's why I went for it. But Solanke's playing for Bournemouth, and he's still scoring bags of goals. And everyone kind of wrote him off, and now he's kind of proving them wrong. Watkins has got... The reason why I went for Watkins is because he's got more goals and assists. He's got 9 goals and 8 assists. So he's their chief goal scorer and creator for Aston Villa, absolutely carrying them. And you've got players like Leon Bailey and Diaby who were kind of like, everyone's gassing them up because they're so good as wingers, going to get a lot of goals. They've got a few, but Diaby's not guaranteed starting because they kind of rotate on that kind of right wing. And then the left winger ends up being John McGinn. The kind of first choice attacker, the only first choice attacker who gets in every single game is Ollie Watkins, and the rest kind of rotate around it. And you see why with those 2 assists he got last week. So for me, not only Solanke is the kind of top goal scorer for Bournemouth, Watkins is the best top goal scorer for Villa, but he's also their best creator. So for me, that kind of more rounded form for me gets him in.
I think Solanke has had the biggest remontada in other than John Stones in the past 5 years. Like, I remember I remember when I think it was when Liverpool sold Ryan Brewster to Sheffield United,
Mm.
and everyone was like, he is going to be a flop because he is just another Dominic Solanke. Lower league Premier League side buys £19 million Liverpool striker, unproven. They do nothing, and Solanke has turned around and has dragged this Bournemouth team up to 12th. Like I mean, they did so well last season and then sacked their manager, and I thought that's a stupid idea.
Yeah.
But I like Raiola. I thought Raiola? What's his name?
Iriola.
Iraola.
Yeah.
Raiola's the agent, yeah.
I mean, Iriola. Isn't he dead now or something?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he
yeah.
passed
Oh, but
away.
let's not get
Yeah.
into that. But
Still somehow paid him £30 million in fee for Erling Haaland after that fact. But yeah, I think Solanke has just been so consistent this season after the first like 6 games. And it's the only City game I've been to this season, but after we thumped them 6-0, they've completely turned themselves around. I thought that would be the breaking point. I thought they'd sack him after that game and they would go on a 15-match losing streak and be 19th in the table. But
that's what they did last season. Because if people forget this, but Scott Parker used to be their manager until he got sacked after being thumped by Liverpool.
Exactly.
And actually, they'd played well. So
yeah, and I thought Bournemouth and Burnley were going to be in opposite situations this year, but no, Bournemouth have done exactly what Burnley wanted to do, which is compete with the best by playing attractive, possession-based, attacking football. And Bournemouth have been able to do it. And that is not thanks necessarily to their signings, because they made quite a few signings this season, but none of them have made that much of a difference.
Yeah.
And again, spoilers for later, but I've got one of their attacking players on my list for worst team of the season. Despite that fact, and that is one of their major signings of the summer, Solanke has been their main man. And I think the fact that he is second in the goal scoring charts behind Haaland, who I don't think has had a very good season, he has not been very dependable for us. It was only when I think Guardiola gave him instructions that he could shoot from outside of the 6-yard box that he started. People actually started going, actually, no, maybe he is a good footballer, and it wasn't a 1-season wonder. But I think, unfortunately, too many teams have figured out that it's quite easy, especially without KDB, that it's quite easy to block Haaland. But Solanke has found the formula for an underperforming at the start of the season Bournemouth team, and he's just completely dragged them up there. They've had a couple of good midfield performances, but literally he has been far and away their best player, and he is the reason they're in 12th right now.
So I think
agree.
I'm going to go with 2 very good pieces from both of you, by the way, guys. Have you been rehearsing that?
Yes, in the mirror every night.
Purely because I just like when I've seen him play more. I'm going to go Solanke.
That's fair.
Purely
I say he
on
was
that.
in my list, and I was kind of debating him, but I just thought, given the completeness,
There was a game when he scored that hat trick, and it was against a good side as well. And it was just kind of like from there, kind of just piqued my interest a little bit more. I don't know why.
Yeah,
probably the anime celebrations. Probably
it is, yeah. But it's good to see him because he's the last thing I'll say on Solanke. He is the new Daniel Sturridge, because if you remember, Daniel Sturridge was once a Chelsea player, and then he moved on and played for Liverpool, and then you get what I mean. Chelsea, Liverpool, and then
Sturridge didn't play for anyone other than Liverpool, I don't think, though.
Solanke was in the Chelsea academy.
And Solanke, but I'm saying there's the parallels are short.
It's a little bit
short-lived
shaky,
parallels,
but the parallels in play style are there, though.
Yes,
as well. Yeah, I didn't get onto that, to be fair. Like that kind of physical striker
and,
with the dance moves as well. It's
let's move on to the last position. I think
left wing.
You guys unfortunately have locked him in, and I don't think he's had a particularly amazing season. Yes, he's played well in certain games. I wouldn't say he's been the most consistent in this team.
He's been injured. Before he was injured.
I will say I don't think there's a better left winger this season so far, and that's why he gets in. Agreed. I don't necessarily think if there was a player like the amount of right wingers who played really well this season, if we just went fuck it, we'll move them to left wing, those would get in over him.
Yeah,
because
some of the
we're
ones I
actually doing
considered.
it on position.
Yeah,
I
some of the ones I
I
considered. Go
I
on,
don't know
no,
if
go
I
on.
concede any right wingers to Doku, honestly. I think he has been the second best winger in the league this season.
There are
Bowen,
a few. I
Bowen,
mean,
we haven't spoken about because Salah got
no,
straight in.
Bowen would
Bowen
be
Bowen
is
is
one on
close.
my list.
Neto would be close. Um,
No,
but
Bowen for me would get in over Doku.
Bowen was on my list of right wingers. Saka was on my list of right wingers, and then I also considered Michael Elise as well as a wingering option on the right wing, who's incredible.
Man.
I think just last few game bias with that
Yeah,
one.
maybe a little bit, and the fact he's linked with Man United, and hopefully we can get him. But mate, if we get him, oh, dream world. But
If you get him,
but
he's going to go to you and he's going to be shit. So
no, he's not. No, he's not. He's not Anthony. He's good. Don't worry.
he's far too he's far too pleasant looking of a player to go to Man United. Man United have an archetype and they slightly broke it with Mason Mount. But yeah.
But
Anyway, we need to speed this up. We've got a whole other podcast to record after this.
Yes.
Me and Henry have another one after that. So that's
Doku definitely in 0.56 per game, 6.5 assists per game, which is the top for wingers. 0.7 long balls per game with 100% accuracy. Almost a whole long ball every single game, always accurate, never misplaced the long ball. He also has 2.4 chances to create per game and is 90% accurate with 5.6 dribbles, with 12.27 touches in the opposition box per game, and also getting in 1.8 tackles as well as 10 duels, being 64% successful with them. I just think
he's very
winger,
good.
elite. As a winger, elite. I mean, he needs to improve his goal scoring. He hasn't got there yet. But in terms of assists and creating chances, very, very good.
He knows how to put the ball in the back of the net. He just obviously he's in a City attack that is with Erling Haaland, so he's going to share that a lot. But I think, I mean, I loved Grealish last year, but watching Doku come in and no player comes into Man City and performs within the first 2 months. I mean, it took it. Erling Haaland had a few weeks brace period as well, but literally the second Doku stepped onto the pitch, I knew that he was the one. Like it takes so long, and especially because his style is not. When he came in, I thought he is not very pat. He's a fast, direct winger who takes players on. He's very individual, but he came in and he adapted and he literally fit in straight away. And watching Jack Grealish piddle the ball up the wing, get to the wing back, turn around, and then piddle it back down the wing, or watching Jeremy Doku take it, turn, blast it past him, and just get through all of the defenders. It's just so refreshing to watch. Man City finally have a proper winger again. I miss the days of Sane and Sterling. Like they were so good for us, and he is Leroy Sane reborn. I'm very happy with him, and I'm glad that we've agreed to put him in the team.
Yes.
Right, let's see the team then. Let's see the team.
He is in the final team. As you see here, we have a backline of Alisson, Trent, Saliba, Van Dijk, and Robinson. A midfield three of Rodri, Douglas Luiz, and Cole Palmer. And a front three of Mohamed Salah, Dominic Solanke, and Jeremy Doku.
Now, have you noticed anything else with that team, Isaac, in terms of what team's missing?
Yeah, no, there is a well, quite a small club missing actually, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, you can't go there, mate. You can't say, I'll take it from him. I'm not having it from you. Yes, we've been shit. Yes, Marcus Rashford lost his shooting boots. Yes, Bruno is blasting a ball back and forth off a brick wall. Yes, Scott McTominay's been bumbling about in the midfield for some reason. Yeah, that's all I have to say.
All right.
On that.
Well, on that note,
depression.
Thank you very much, guys, for watching.
Oh, are we going to discuss our signing of the season?
Oh,
yes, we did say we'd have a look into that.
Do we have time to go into that?
I
mean,
have one, Isaac.
Isaac,
go ahead.
There's only 2 signings on this team.
It's not a player that's on the list. It's James Maddison.
Yeah.
Fair.
I agree with that statement.
That's his honourable mention for missing out on the number 10 spot, because if he had stayed fit, he would be in there.
You saw how transformative he was coming into that Tottenham midfield and picking up the slack. Everyone thought like him coming in, Harry Kane, amazing pairing, one of the best creators in the league last season, best goal scorer in the league. And then Kane left and was like, well, Tottenham's just going to be shit again, aren't they? And no, they have been underdogs, but they've been one of the best sides in the league. And if it weren't for that Chelsea game, they'd still be at the top. So,
yeah, but that still happened. Manager, I'm going to quickly just say Unai Emery, probably.
Agree. I completely agree with that statement. So
yeah.
Getting Aston Villa out of the doldrums and back up to challenging for titles is impressive. So, yeah, 100% I agree with that.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, anything else, guys?
I think that's everything. I think we've done a good job of picking out the best team so far. We'll see whether or not this team lasts till the end of the season, whether or not someone else steps up in any of these positions. But I feel like we've been pretty good at going through and picking the right team, a couple of options, Rodri in particular. But thank you. It's been a pleasure jumping in with you two boys. I think, we've done a good job.
All right. Well, thank you very much, guys, for watching. And we'll see you guys next week for another Blue podcast. Might be something similar. Might be some similar faces. You never know. All right. Cheers.